Here we go.
Yeah, I missed Friday because I didn't get a text and I forgot about it.
So it is
Yeah.
one of those things you still need to keep texting and make that a part of the rhythm. That's good to know.
Yeah. Yeah. Before we start, David, I have a random question for you.
Mm.
This weekend I was out of town, but I went to go look at a church at a piano, or a piano at a church, sorry. And tuning pins are super loose, and my mentor has always been against using CA glue, putting it down in the pins. What are your what do you think? I think I've asked this before, but just
No,
just
that's good. That's a good question. So Victor arrives at this piano. The tuning pins are loose. I've done this so many times where, for whatever reason, churches as well. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
So I arrive, and the first thing that I'm going to look for is how much pin is there that I can tap down. If there's
Okay.
if there's a good amount of space between the bottom of those coils and the top of that pin block, I'm going to pound it every time.
Yeah.
And so
Okay.
that will be my first thing.
Okay.
And then if it's an older piano, I will ask them, say, hey, I can't tap these anymore. Do you want me to dope it? If you all hear that term, the term doping, it sounds like it is a weird term. I'm going to dope the block. That is relating to actually putting in CA glue into the tuning pin holes to kind of hold those, give it more torque. So I agree with your mentor, that you try the tapping the pins first, but I've had good success with doping. I hate that term, doping the pins.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I know my mentor was always, he was like, I don't know why you would do that. He's real big in just loosening the string, removing the coil, and putting a bigger pin in. But that's quite a it's much longer, of course, than doping it.
Yeah, I mean, I would charge $100 a pop for that. And most people don't want, oh wow, there's 10 tuning pins that are loose and you have to come in and spend the day. I don't want to spend $1,000 on that. I mean, it's great to give them that option. And because you're right, your mentor is right. Ideally, that is the best option. Besides tapping them in or doping, that is the better.
Okay. Yeah, awesome. And yeah, the piano was at a university before, and it's been at the church, so it's probably had a really rough life.
Yeah, it's been what do they say? Rode hard and put up wet. Isn't that a horse term? Well, to be honest, y'all, I was just telling Stacy. I said, she's like, how are you feeling about this presentation today? I'm like, to be honest, I'm a little nervous because it's probably been a dozen years since I've installed one of these, and I don't even remember it going that well to begin with. And she's like, no, this is perfect. It's real life. And so with it being real life, I mean, that is it. I even thought for a moment, I'm like, maybe I'll unseal this to see what it's like and try to remember. I didn't even do that. We're breaking this open together, y'all. Let me show you first, though, before we open this guy up. If I remember right, and this is going to be to see how well my memory is, I think I need these tools. So that is a flathead and Phillips screwdriver, pair of scissors or a razor blade, a Sharpie, which I'll show you that later, some kind of a wire cutter, vice grip. And look at this. I just found this in our toolkit, but this is like the most adorable little adjustable wrench I've ever seen. And like, this is going in my kit after this, because this is minimalism at its finest. But with that being said, we're going to crack into this. Stacy, do you remember how much this cost us?
Yeah, I'll get that. Just a second. Okay. I'll put it in the chat and then I'll say it.
Perfect. So this is the Aftermarket soft pedal practice rail system that you can purchase at Schaff. Took about a week and a half to get it here. This is not bad. And again, we have the perfect piano here to showcase this on because we don't, in fact, have a practice rail on this P22. Whoa, here we go. P22. Okay. Let's see here. So So right away you can see there's this wire right here. Oh gosh. Okay, here we go. Well, they wrapped it well. So right away, so here it is. Can you all guess the thing that right away I'm seeing this and it kind of ticks me off? Anybody guess? When I'm looking at this, kind of like
The
making
felt.
me mad. Yeah. Who puts this color felt in it? What is this?
David, when I would install those, they're $99, by the way, 99 on Shaft. And by the way, I've gotten emails from somebody they are getting your Shaft accounts now, so it's working.
Oh, good.
It's working. Yay! But you know what I used to do, David? I used to use different felt. I used to replace the felt. I hate it.
I'm sorry, Shaft. No, I'm not sorry. Come on, up your felt game.
It's not a great. No, I would use different felt too.
All right.
Just saying.
Well, sorry. So far, this unboxing is they got a star removed. They're 5 stars or down to 4. So it's a very simple, as you can see, there's this scissor, like a scissor lift, and this is going to go and a little bit of lubrication would probably go a long ways on this one, but it's the scissor lift that's going to go ahead and using this. What do we call these on bicycles? Who's a bike person? What are these called?
Brake cable.
Thank you. Yeah, the cable. The cable will be allow us to use this mechanism, which is attached to this cable, and it will lower and raise this scissor lift. Oh yeah, you can see right there. It's called quiet keys. Quiet keys. Perfect. Well, I'm trying to think if there's any. Okay, good. There is something else. What? Oh, that's not for this. So here's what it came with. Stacy, you put one onto these more recently than I have.
I might have, but that mine was a while ago too.
So my kids are like, Dad, teeth are jewels, not tools. So they're gonna see this and be like, what? All right. So as you can see here, this is what we have to work with. We have a couple screws, these cable brackets right here to attach the cable to the piano. Can anybody guess? And this is kind of the most kind of hilarious, and I'm sorry, kind of the jankiest part of it to me, but it does work. Can you guess what these are? I'm not even going to answer what these are, but I just want to see if anybody has any ideas. There's 2 of them. It's okay. We're going to find out. I'm going to show you this, and you guys are going to be like, really? Okay. Okay. So let's go ahead and kind of get started. I'm going to move this box out of the way. It does come with some instructions right here, which is great. It's only in English, which yeah. Sorry for anybody who's non-English speaking. You have to figure this out yourself. In theory, Stacy, how long do you think this job should take?
I guess if you've done it a lot of times and it's fresh in your head, you could do it in an hour, but I'm embarrassed to even say how long it took me to do the first one. So, but I'm really slow. I'm a really slow learner. And I have to be like, help.
All right. Yeah, I'm a little bit nervous about this.
You'll beat my 4 hours. I think we're gonna get it done. It took me 4 hours. I'm embarrassed. It's true.
Robert's ready to time you.
Real.
Okay, first things first. Let's go ahead and attach these guys right here. So that's where they go, one on each side. And we can see that there's this screw that has this squared off portion right at the head, right there, which actually is great because that fits in to this squared off piece right here. So I'm just going to go ahead and attach this. I'm noticing that this didn't come with any nuts for this screw. Oh, no, that's not true. It came with these little wing nuts. Sorry, it came with these wing nuts. Here we go. That's fair enough. Sorry, guys, this is real. This is the sausage being made right here. Ain't no nice editing that I can do. So I'm going to go ahead and take this, put it on here, and I'm going to go ahead and attach the wing nut to it. So that's one side of this. I'm going to leave it fairly loose. I'm going to take the other one and put it on the other side as well. Still keeping it loose. Keep it loose. Putting on the wing nut. Has anybody figured out what these weird brackets are for yet? These weird kind of brackets. Nobody? All okay. So the basic premise. Somebody said something?
I said it would slide over a pin.
For the tuning pins?
These are what attach this. These brackets are what attach it to the piano, and it doesn't bolt into anything really permanently.
It goes on the tuning pins?
They just sit over the tuning pins. Random tuning pins, by the way. It works, right? Oh well, it works. Okay, so I've attached these guys. So now we have this done. The next thing I'm going to do is actually attach my cable here. And you can see that it actually attaches. And Stacy, feel free. Actually, no, don't stop me if you see me do something wrong. You'll see. I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. It's kind of like a nature documentary. You're not allowed to like interfere, right? All right, so I got my wire here coming out of this cable, just like a bicycle. And what happens is this is going to get fed through this little hole. If I'm remembering right, again, for those just joining, the last one I did with this, I'm guessing it was a dozen years ago, and I think I didn't do a great job back then. So this is all about redemption. This is Redemption Monday. All right. So I've gone ahead and thread this through right here. So I've threaded it through. And now we have this little wing nut right here that I'm going to go ahead and just tighten down over the cable. Oh, I'm already doing it wrong. Yeah, I'm doing it wrong. I have to switch this. This has to go this way. And then this attaches right here to the wire itself. I'm going to feed this through right here. That makes more sense. I'm going to tighten this down over my cabling right here. You can see I've tightened this down right here. Now I'm going to feed it through and just tighten it. Again, I'm going to adjust this in the piano. So I'm not cutting anything. I'm just kind of keeping it as is. Taking my Phillips and just tightening this guy. That does. If you look at it, actually, both sides of this screw, there's have a flathead. I think it's meant so that you're using two screwdrivers to really tighten that together. So I'm going to do that using two screwdrivers, one on one side and one on the other, to really try to tighten this down and see what happens. Yep, that feels way better. Okay. Let's see. I mean, so we got our lever system right here. I don't know why this reminds me of like Edward Scissorhands. So here's my lever. In theory, yeah, look at that. Boom. I'm sorry, it just cracks me up that it just sits on the tuning pins. I know it shouldn't, but it just seems so janky. It looks like you guys are gonna see that. Okay, this is professionally installed. It's as good as it can look, and it's like that's what it looks like. Okay. So
It's $99. So
how much was it?
99.
Okay. So a
Right.
customer, just so you know, I don't know if they used to be more expensive, but I know that we've charged around $500 to get this and then install it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it used to cost more money or if it was just like I hate the design enough that I'm just going to charge a lot. I don't know, but that's what we've done in the past. Stacy, what about you? Do you know how much people have charged for these in the past?
I charged in Utah, I was charging $350.
Okay.
So not too far off from where you are actually.
Yeah, here in Portland.
Because you think of the admin to buy it and to
Yep.
install it and the you gotta make it. I always say at least mark it up 40% is make a 40% profit, right? So
yeah, exactly. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and start.
you're gonna do it in like 5 minutes.
Say that again?
You're gonna do it in like 5 minutes.
What I'm going to do is get it installed, and then I'm going to spend the next 45 minutes with a black or red Sharpie and just make this a different color. All right, y'all. Here we go. This is what it's. I'm sorry.
When I put it together, I didn't have the directions, so I had to like figure it out. And I wish I would have just look how easy it is if you just look at the directions. Look in like 5 minutes.
So, just so you know, these tabs right here are able to be bent. So I can bend them in or out to fit the particular pin like that. So here we go. I'm just gonna pick a pin, right? That's all we do. I like that pin there, and sure, why not? This pin right here. Ta-da!
But the pins have to be level, right?
Yeah, so you're right. You're right about that, Robert. I just chose some pins, but again, I'm able to adjust this because it's loose enough before I adjust these wing nuts. So there's a fair amount of adjusting that I can do. So I'm just gonna kind of make sure that when this is down, that it's not gonna touch it. I'm gonna go ahead and using my lever system, let's just see it. Hot dog, look at that. Shaft is just like watching this, like, what's your problem, man? It's a good design.
It does work. It really does work though.
It does. So as you can see, I've made it so it's pretty equal as far as there's a little bit of overhang on this left-hand side and a little bit of overhang on this right-hand side because the metal bracket itself doesn't go all the way over. There's a little bit of overhang that I'm going to cut and trim. So overall, I like this placement that I've placed it at right here. So I'm going to tighten down these wing nuts. And the next thing that I'm going to do is take my little Sharpie right here. And I'm going to go ahead and just mark on each side, how much I can cut this. I'm going to cut this here just to start taking out some of the excess. And I'm going to do it right here. Another thing that I like to do with this Sharpie is this right here. And I remember this from last time, is I take the Sharpie and I'm going to mark the 2 tuning pins that I'm going to keep this on, put this on and off of. So I'm just going to take this, the bracket off, and mark the top of this tuning pin and mark it black so that I know which ones to put on and off, because that just makes life easier. So I'm going to go ahead and take it off. Coming back to the bench, and I'm going to go ahead and make my cuts or trim my felt right here. On a level of 1 to 10, 10 being like, wow, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. What are you guys feeling as far as this system itself?
Seems goofy.
Seems
But-
goofy.
It works, I guess.
Yeah.
What's the
I
difference
think
between
it's-
that and just the regular practice rail that middle pedals have? I mean, is it basically the same thing?
Basically, a standard one would just be a simpler and more natural, I would say, because the whole mechanism is really hidden inside the pedal area. Stacy, I have to go find some different scissors or a razor blade. So go ahead and show a meme or something. I'll be right back.
Show a meme. I've been guys, I'm gonna run out of memes by like the end of the month. I've been posting like one every day, and I'm like, I'm gonna run out soon. So so funny. I did post in the chat some other ones that I've installed on pianos. My favorite one, actually, well, the QRS one, I really love that one, but I really like that one actually. And these are like silencers that have the MIDI strip underneath, so you can hook it to headphones. So those are kind of fun. These are the three, and this new one is Kiyoshi. That's a new one that just came out. They're starting to sell in the US, so I've played with that one a little. It's a pretty good one. And they'll let you, as techs, you can actually buy them and upsell that service. So if they like really when I've done it before, sometimes I'll just make the felt on their practice pedal even thicker if they really want it muted, but they don't want to pay for a quiet keys. And then I would say that's my second choice, is the, price wise. But there's lots of options out there nowadays. And I would say I'm seeing a lot more with MIDI strips in them, so they can convert to like headphones. I'm seeing a lot of that. That's gonna trend more, I think. I think it's the way forward. You got your scissors?
I got some razor blades actually, because I'm like, you know what? Let's just have it more clean.
It's even better.
Clean and better. I mean, this thing is already a car accident, so might as well do a little bit nicer. Okay, so I trimmed that down. Let's go ahead and we're going to come back to the piano itself. We're going to put this back on. Again, it's nice that I marked those tuning pins, because I know exactly where to put this back onto. And again, I kid around that it feels kind of janky, but the reality is your customer is just not going to notice it. They're never going to see this. They're just going to know that all of a sudden their piano is nice and quiet, which is great. That's what we want. So let's look at this a little bit together. The next thing, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in so you all can see. The next thing we're going to need to do is mark out right here. So a lot of times you're going to have multiple brackets. These are the action brackets. Luckily there's not one right here, but a lot of times there's 4 of these brackets that you have to cut out from. In this case, I'm just going to go ahead and cut through this one. I'm just going to mark really quick where that bracket is. And what I'm going to do is more of a kind of a tapered, cut like that. So another thing is that I'm going to do, let's just take it slow. We'll go step by step. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and remove it again now that I know that this has to get notched out. And then from there, we're going to put it back on and then measure and figure out where we need to slice that felt horizontally.
Basically,
Go ahead.
Stacey, what felt do you usually will you put on there if you replace it?
Say that one more time. I'm sorry, Victor.
Felt just something I just use prettier, thicker felt.
Okay, thicker felt.
I do. I've done it. There's so many people who have a practice pedal and they're like, it's not quite enough. And I'm like, you could just make the felt thicker.
You
If it's
can.
not, I mean, it doesn't sound good all muffly, but at least they're able to practice and it's not loud. So
Yeah.
just thicker felt. Does it really matter? It's just thicker.
Yeah.
Like yeah, you can really get it anywhere, even craft stores, even, yeah.
Okay.
So I'm just making just a kind of a triangle cut right here, just so that we have this felt removed so we can kind of hone in some of our other cuts.
And I thought I'd let you all know I got my Shaft account today. Yippee!
Boom!
Finally, huh?
You told them that you're Artisan royalty, and they said, you know what? Here you go.
I said recommended by David Hayes.
Hot dog. Like who?
I'm so glad that worked. I'm so glad.
Probably made the process a little longer.
Well, at least now I can get a piano tilter. They're only 525 there instead of 1,000 other places. So I'll just buy a tilter instead of trying to make one and then have it not work or be too heavy or whatever. I'll just go and buy one now.
Okay, so we've gone ahead and we've cut out our notch so that this is at least starting to look like it could work. And now it's going to be time to go up and down and just, I just broke it. It just came out of its hole right here. So I'm going to, hold on. Yeah, that's good. Tighten that. I'm going to say that one was on me because I should have just double checked whether this was tight or not.
I also ordered my bellows cloth last night, so I guess I'm making the big jump into taking the bellows apart. And so I'm making another shopping list so that I can keep going on it. But I'm taking the plunge, guys. I'm taking the plunge.
Good for you. Do they sell those on Shaft as well?
No, they sell it at playercare.com.
Okay.
And that's all they sell is stuff for player pianos. And he's multiple years expert on doing these things. So he'll even consult with you if you need it. So
really? That's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. He does them and has all the parts for all the different kinds of player pianos. So if you ever need it, it's player-care.com. And he can help with whatever you need, like bellow cloth and all of the parts and everything for all of the player action parts.
Yeah, no thanks there, Janice. I think pianos are stressful enough for me. I already have enough gray hair.
Hey, look at mine. Mine's all gone gray. I haven't colored it since October. 42 years of doing that, I'm done.
So it came dislodged from right here. And this is an extremely thick wire. It's probably like size 24 as far as string gauge. It is intense. So I'm having a hard time getting it back into that, back into its home. This is actually going to end up taking the entire time. That's hilarious. Oh, that's why. Like, what the heck? Okay. That's what I was doing wrong. I wasn't threading it behind the bracket itself. I think that's what I was doing wrong. No, that's not right. Let's see if y'all can see this. Let's just take it apart. This is what I'm running into. like this double threaded proportion. Geez, is that an Allen wrench that I need to get for that? Nice. It's okay. I'm sure they came. Nope.
It's like a
No.
circle.
Say it again, Robert.
It just looked like a circle. It doesn't look like anything fits it.
Yeah, it does. It just looks like a circle. But anyways, I'm going to put that on hold. We're going to go back to this guy because we can go ahead and kind of artificially move this up or down just manually like this. So what I'm going to do is just kind of look at it and be like, okay, well, how much felt do I want to? Oh, I just remembered what I did wrong the last time 12 years ago. And this is the thing that you could end up running into. Can anybody guess what I did to kind of ruin this? I mean, I was able to fix it by moving the device down further. Can anybody guess what I did?
You cut it too short.
I cut it too short. I cut it in its, I think, up or down position. Must have been in the up position, thinking it was ready to go. No.
No, it would have been in the down position.
Yep, that's what it was.
Also, where the action bolt is, you would have to raise that up a little bit. I mean, you would have to cut it up further so that you can pull the felt all the way down and not make it buckle like that, right?
Correct. But just for now, I just wanted to at least start draping it through there. So what I like to do now in the up position is make just a couple of marks as far as where it's at, because what I would like the player to be able to do is once they pivot that lever and it goes all the way down, I want it to go all the way down so they get the sense of, okay, it's locked, it's done. That's the position it needs to stay in. I don't want them to kind of have to finagle it to be like, oh, is it up or down? I just want on or off. So this is the kind of the off, and here's the on. So I'm going to go ahead and start right here and mark off on the felt. I'm just going to go an inch or so above. We're going to start with that.
Yeah, you can always cut more off, but it's really tough to get the sewing machine out and put it back on again.
100%. Although it wouldn't be the end of the world because at least then I can get a different felt. So what I'm doing right here is I'm just going an inch above where the hammers land on this felt. Does that make sense? So I'm going an inch above where the hammers land on this felt. And again, from the up position. And since I am going to have it up or out, you're probably right, Janice. This would be a good time for me to elongate that bracket cut right here. All right. You can see now the reason I put all those, I marked those tuning pins because we're taking it on and off. All right, as you can see these dots, this is kind of where I have it. So let's go ahead and start with this cut right here. And I'm just going to kind of even it out because my dots weren't exactly straight, but I'm going to use this to really figure out a nice straight line. Looks good.
Is that your key leveler, David?
It is.
Okay,
it
so
is.
you got to really be careful that you use the right side instead of having the one that's got the bow in it, right?
You're right, and I do have it on the right side. So yes, that is a good point. That is a great point.
I'd turn it upside down and it would be wrong.
It is a good point. Let's use this one.
So do you think those two pins ever get flagpoled in a minor way every time it moves toward it
You know
affects
what?
it?
I never thought about that. Once we're all done, and I'm going to try to kind of reef on it a little bit and just kind of really go for it and see what happens. Because kids are going to be doing that, right? They're not going to be gingerly moving it up and down. They're going to be like on and off. That. I wonder how long it's going to be before you actually see me like injure myself in one of these videos.
About 10 minutes.
Janice.
I hate to say it, there were many times when I was seeing a patient, we spent more time laughing than anything.
Wait a second, you as physicians do that?
Oh, yes, we do sometimes, especially when you work with depressed patients. Getting them to laugh can be, the whole thing of their day. So,
Yeah, that's true.
yeah.
Always make sure to have like a nice, really sharp razor blade. And you'd be amazed at how quickly razor blades get dull. And so when you're cutting stuff, I'm sure, Janice, you went through a lot of razor blades when you were doing your key bushings. It's just one of those things. Use a lot of them. They're cheap, but a nice, really sharp edge is
Yeah, I
something.
used an X-Acto blade, and I went through like 3 blades doing the bushings on these keys. And, you can buy them at Walmart. That's the cheapest place to buy them.
All right, so what I'm seeing now, that's nice. So the nice thing is in the up position, it's not hanging on any hammers, which is great. That's what we want. So now the question is, when we actually lower it to its full position, what are we saying? And again, sometimes you kind of have to do this, even with the factory systems. You just kind of have to make sure when you're putting it on and off that it's in that right orientation. So here we go. Wow, it works great. Not really. So what I'm seeing right here, is this. We need to, oh, hey. We have a technician here, and I'm right in front of the door. Thanks, Jonathan. We had one of the technicians of our company come in and drop off something. So what I'm seeing right here is that it's too far towards the player. This system needs to be back so that it's right in front of those tuning pins, and it's not right now.
So can you turn it around and have it displace the other direction? Or how would you
As far
fix
as
that?
like, are you saying, Janice, having it go like this?
Yeah,
Yeah, no, it is meant to be like this.
okay.
But just as you can see with these, this is what I'm running into. This distance is too far. And so what I need to do is figure out a way to kind of lessen that gap. So right here, let's try this right for short. Let's do this. Let's move it so that it's on the other side. This will give us a little bit more clearance, or less clearance, I should say. Yeah, so it's finagling these so that they actually work correctly. And I'm sure they're different from piano to piano, what one will work on one piano. and it won't work on the other. But right now, the way that our action is designed is this is too far away from those pins. And so what I may have to do is actually buy some kind of a spacer, if you will. Maybe even just stack a bunch of washers to make this so that it's not as far. Or what I would do is actually stack them this way so that this is closer in. Another thing that I can try to do, maybe this is what I should do right here. What if I bend these the opposite way? See what I'm saying? Let's try that. So does that make sense? I've kind of made it so this is a little closer. So what I'm going to do, back to this. And again, we're doing this together right now. I'm not I'm not faking this of like, what do I do?
So could you just put a front rail felt?
A front rail felt. What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean on the key.
On the key. Oh, just a second.
On the front rail pin.
Oh, like a front rail, like a punching?
Yeah, like the whole green.
Yeah, that could work.
I don't know how thick that is, but
so yeah, that definitely changed how close that was. So that's much closer now that I've done it. So I'm going to do the same thing with the other bracket. I'm moving it down this way. Carefully, not to cut myself with this nice sharp metal. Reversing it again. Stacy, did you say that you have another option for people for these, and how much does that option cost?
There's a few I put in the chat. They're more because but any of you could do it. Like a lot of them involve installing the MIDI strip.
And you've done that before, Stacy?
Mm-hmm. That's
How
why
much time does that actually take?
if you're really good at it, you can do it in a half hour. Let's just say that. If you're me, it would take longer because I just am slower at it.
How much does it cost with one of those systems? So this is $100 system.
The Kyoshi one that I put in the chat, it's $6.99, the wholesale for dealers.
Oh, wow.
But you don't have to, like, anyone can be a dealer. It's like having a Benchworld or Jansen account. Like you can just sign up and they'll let you sell it to customers for retail. So, and then I put in the Genio silencer, but I do believe that's the retail price on that 3K. And then the QRS key stop one is 500. I mean, it's not that much.
Yeah.
Considering.
All right, let's see if this is actually functioning to a point now. It sounds pretty good. I mean, that's working. Now we're gonna go up with it. Down with it. One of the things I'm noticing is that the in the full down position, it's rubbing on the dampers just a little bit in the treble. So I'm going to take about 1/8 of an inch off from here to the start of the bass, and in the bass, it's really rubbing on those by like 1 inch. So I'm going to take about 1 inch off of the bass and 1/4 inch off, 1/8 inch off in the treble. But we're getting closer. And after we're done with this, we're going to see about actually having to install that stupid wire again onto that, which I have no idea how to put that on yet. But I'm going to push that off until the very end. Into the very end. And to Janice's point, I'm going to make sure that this ruler, which is flat on one end and round on the other, I'm going to make sure it's like this. Boy, imagine when you all do this for your own customers, how fast and smooth it's going to go. You're going to look like just pros. And they're like, wow, you really know what you're doing. They're like, yeah, I know. I'm just cutting this 1/4 inch off right here so that we're not having it rub on the dampers at all in the treble. One of the things I'm surprised about, though, with this, and I guess it does make sense, but typically what you'll see on these practice rails is 3 different densities of felt. So the treble, high treble, will usually have the thinnest density felt, and then all the way up to the bass, which will be pretty thick and dense to make it so that, you know, it's equally quiet. But this is just one size kind of fits all. Oh, you guys are really quiet. Let's go ahead and cut this inch off right here.
I'm not going to say it. We don't want to distract you, David. We don't need you cutting your finger today.
David needs all the help he can get. It's not distracting. He's using something sharp right now. And it's only semi-sharp. It's not as sharp as it should be.
Which is the problem, because if it's not as sharp as it should be, you're pushing on it harder than you should. And that's when people get cut more than anything.
My grandpa always said, David, sharp knife never cut anybody. I'm like, what? He would always say that. He's like, David, a sharp knife never cut anybody. And I was like a little kid. I grew up with my grandpa. He's hilarious and funny, and he's a Renaissance man. The bike that you see in the background was his that he gave me. But he would say things that are like kind of inappropriate that I didn't know at the time. So he would get done with the project, and I'd be like, is it good enough, Grandpa? Like woodworking or whatnot. He's like, David, it's good enough for the girls we go with. And I'm like, I didn't know what that really meant until I got older. I'm like, wow, that's not really great, Grandpa. Perfect. So it's not touching on any of the dampers anymore. That's all good. In the up position, good. Down position. Perfect. So the next thing that we're going to attempt to do is figure this out, because we don't want the kid to trip over it and just like, this isn't a remote control with a cord. No, this needs to be inside the piano. So the idea behind this is you actually drape it down on the left-hand side, feed it down under the key bed, like so. And you use one of our little attachments to attach it. So that's one of these guys right here. So I'm going to go ahead and attach it right on this side, right here. I want it to keep it out of the way. And I'm not going to tighten it too far down, because I want this to have a little bit of flex in it so that when I remove this to tune it, I can still move it out of the way enough. They gave me this nice nifty little bracket, this and the screw. So I'm going to go ahead and install that. At the end of the day, this doesn't, I mean, I've always said this, I want everything to look as factory as possible. Something like this makes it very hard to do, because it's just so obviously not factory. But we're going to attempt to make everything as good as possible and clean as possible. So that means centering this, you know, I want this to be centered with this space right here. I want the screw to be all the way, you know, put down in there. All those little things that just shows that you're trying, that you appreciate the instrument. Typically, I would do this with a drill, but it's not charged.
Is this a product you promote depending upon the customer that your techs?
What's that, Robert?
Is this a product that your techs promote depending upon the customer?
No, I would say we've never promoted it, actually. It's more of a, I would call it just a solution. This is just a solution for people. It could be a product that we promoted if we liked it more. If we didn't have this gray felt. Hint, hint, chef. I'm going to go get a drill bit really quick just so that I can kind of start the hole.
Yeah, I would agree. The only time I've sold it is if a customer's complaining that they want it quieter. They just need it quieter because they have roommates but they can't afford the silencer or putting in that kind of a lot of these customers, a $3,000 silencer, amazing system is more than their piano is worth. So this is like it's a good alternative if they have that issue. And I don't know if I've ever
The tuning pin thing is like a deal killer.
This is a nice little, if you don't want to carry a drill around, you want to get kind of a small hole started, you can use that. This is what I'm going to use it for. Can anybody guess that's kind of, I'm sorry, Yamaha. Can anybody guess the type of wood that is inside the piano that Yamaha uses?
Maple.
Maple, that's a good guess. Anybody else?
Spruce.
Yes, yeah. This is a fairly, I would say in the last 5 years, discovery. But Yamaha, as well as most new piano manufacturers, Kawai will be the same, use a brilliant, beautiful wood called MDF. And unfortunately, that's the reality of it. Most pianos, the casing, the exterior casing, is made in MDF. Stacy, am I wrong here?
Nope, you're right.
What about the new bench? You've gone to the factory, Stacy.
German companies don't cut they do it a little different than, it's not that it's wrong, it's just.
Yeah.
Does MDF stand for something?
What's that?
Does MDF stand for something?
Manufactured.
Oh, okay.
Medium density.
I don't know. Actually, somebody should look it up right now. I'm curious.
Yeah, I think it's what we call particle board.
Yeah, it's fiber board, particle board.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, it's just particle board.
Okay, okay.
Although when they make pin blocks and they have that layered and layered and layered and layered, and then you add some hardwoods, that stuff can get pretty strong. Can be pretty
That's
strong.
laminate, and they do that so that they laminate it so in different directions, so it is strong. But particle board, unfortunately, will fall apart if you don't treat it right.
Wet. Yeah.
So now that I've attached it here on the left-hand side, I can feed it through right here, because usually the bottom boards will have a small gap between the key bed and the bottom board itself, and that's what it's designed to do. Is it's designed to kind of use a couple of those little brackets and then just put it right up here out of the way. But before I can do that, I need to see what the heck is going on with this guy. So I do have this little Allen wrench set, but like Robert said, it doesn't look like there's, nope, it is. is threaded like that. I want to just kind of see what's going on with this. Yep, sure enough. See that? It's threaded like that. This is interesting. Because the way this mechanism works, see if I can grab it. Yeah. Yep, sure enough. So another tool that you're going to need on top of what we've already shown you is an actual Allen wrench. I didn't think that was the case. So here's how it works. The geez, what's the thing called? Not the wire, but the gosh.
The cable?
Say it again. Cable. Thank you. I don't know why. I'm like a huge bike enthusiast, and I can't remember the stupid thing called the cable. So the cable gets right here, and then it gets tightened down using this Allen wrench. So then what happens is it goes then through here. The wire then comes to here and gets put in through this hole, because this has a little hole in it right there. And then this little cap gets installed to just tighten everything down. Interesting. It's just kind of a friction fit in there. So, okay. So that's how it works. So it just basically, the cable goes right here. From there, the wire inside the cable comes and attaches to right there. And that little nub at the very end is what we tighten it down with. So that's what we're going to do. But before we do that, now that I at least know how this works, geez, is it almost time? We're almost at an hour. I'm so sorry, y'all. It's taking me way longer. If you all have to leave, that's fine. But I'm going to go ahead and put this little bracket right here.
But David, you talked us through all of the errors we might make, so we will make those.
I didn't just talk you through it. I showed them to you, Janice.
I know you did. And actually, I really appreciate that you making those errors, because otherwise I would feel dumb doing it myself later.
Well, that's what we're all about. We just want to show you.
My first one, I didn't think I needed to read the instructions. I'm kind of like that. I'm like, oh, I'll just figure it out. And it was not. It was bad. I put pictures in the chat of what to do. So I'm a picture person.
That's good. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just going ahead and installing one of these little brackets to hold the cable in place. I don't think we've ever mentioned this, but I think that we need to go ahead and remind everybody that in your toolkits, a good thing to have would actually be a drill. And I don't think we've talked about the necessity for a drill, but that's really a tool that should be in everybody's kit. In their auxiliary kit, obviously.
And Father's Day is coming up, so you might want to, put the hint
Hot
out.
dog.
How about that? You need that drill for your profession, right?
That's right. Write-offs. It's so dangerous, you all, though, being business owners and being like a tool enthusiast. It's literally like every day. It's like, oh, I need that. Oh, I need that. Imagine how much money I'm going to make with that classic Cocobolo screwdriver that's meant for cabinet making. I need that. No, you don't, but there sure is cool. All right, so now that we have the cable in there, got it sticking out like that, you all at this point can decide something. And what is it? You can decide to have all this excess tucked underneath or cut it. I'm personally, okay, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. I'm actually personally a fan of cutting it. We're gonna do it. is do or die, because I just don't like a lot of excess, you know? Doesn't need to be there. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it. For right now, I'm going to cut both the wire and the cable. And now I'm going to go ahead and cut the cable right in here. So just so you all know kind of how this goes, I'm going to use this and I'm going to cut the cable kind of back here. Slowly opening it up like that to where I could see the cable winding and just cut that winding so that I'm so that I'm being sure not to cut the cable underneath itself.
Can you use a stripper, a wire stripper for that?
I don't think you can, because this is this is a pretty thick cable.
Okay.
But yeah, so what I'm doing is slowly opening up that cabling, that winding. I see that cable winding right there, and I'm going to make a cut and hope that I'm not going to cut. I'm not going to cut the wire inside. Stacy, did you do the same thing on yours?
Cut the wire?
Yeah, cut the excess, or did you just leave it in the piano?
Yeah, I had to cut it because it wasn't working properly the first. Like
Yeah.
when I said it took me a while. No, it did, because it looked first. I bet you if I would have done 5. But yeah, I had to cut it as well. They actually, yeah.
All right, we did it. We didn't break the wire. Now it's time to go ahead and install our, what would we call this? Just kind of our lever system. There we go. Thread it through, tighten it with the Allen wrench. I knew this was going to take a while, so I kind of knew going into it. We'd be having an interesting one this time. All right, so you can see I'm able to move this up and down. I'm going to go ahead and thread this through now. I am so glad, Janice, that you were able to get set up with Shaft. That makes me happy.
Yeah, it didn't take them long once we found the right person to send it to.
No, right?
I sent it in what, Friday, I think?
Oh, wow.
It was either Wednesday or Friday, because it was a day that because I did it during the class. I think it was.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, I did it during the class, and I got up and I ran over to the to send it through the scanner. I think it was Friday, and it's already done, so that was good.
Oh, that's so good. What's the first things that you're going to buy with your new Shaft order?
Probably the piano tilter. I've got 2
Probably
pianos with broken wheels. I also need some dollies to put them on, and I'll probably get the ones that are permanently installed, because they've got bigger wheels and they do better than on some of these other tiles and things. And so I'll probably have to do the 2 with the broken wheels first.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm doing the bellows first, but okay.
So now we're to the point where I just kind of have to decide how I want the owner to be able to manipulate this on or off. And so I want it to get out of the way, so I'm tucking it back in here, nice and tight. And so I'm just going to go ahead and install the screws, and then we're going to test it out to see if it actually works. How about that? Again, do make sure to tuck it in back far enough so that you're not accidentally covering the key slip screws. Does that make sense? It needs to be tucked in far enough that not only are they going to bump it, but it can't be it can't be blocking the key slip screws.
You also don't want them to be rubbing their knee on it and getting an injury that way.
Exactly. So as far over to that side as possible. Another thing is there's like an inch of that wire sticking out, and that seems very scary to me. I don't want a kid to come in and get poked, so I'm going to cut that flush as soon as I know that everything's working properly. All right. There we go. Y'all can see it. And here. So the only thing I'm noticing right here at this break is it's bound up because there's a little bit of the piano plate that's sticking out. So I'm going to go ahead and cut a little channel using my marker. I'm going to cut right here, show where I need to slice this. But this is a good, so now you can see we have everything bracketed down, held in place, and we can still, especially if we need to go tune it, remove it. And typically what we do is we just drape it over the side like that. In this case, I'm going to use my scissors. But Robert, you bring up a good point. Because as technicians, we always want to offer customers things that they don't know is possible. And to be honest, we do send, and we're literally working on this month's Tech Tip Blast. That's an email we send to all of our customers once a month saying, hey, this is Artisan. Here's how you clean your keys. Here's how you do this. But you've just given me an idea, Robert. It's like, hey, have you ever wanted your upright piano to be a little quieter? Here you go. We can install these.
Yeah, we could demo it too. Because we have
we can demo just how easy it is to install.
You know what? Yeah, we need to do that video too. We'll be done with 2 months worth. It is fun to show people what's possible. That is so true.
All right. Boom. Okay. Y'all, you just went on a journey with me. That was intense. Sorry it took so long, but we did it. What time is it? 5:10. Only 10 minutes passed. But it works. And aside from being a little gray, I think it looks pretty good. Questions as we clean up now. Pretty straightforward. As you can see, if you knew what you were doing, if you were in the rhythm of this, you can get it done in probably half an hour, easy. Easy, get it done in a half an hour. You're probably ahead to charge anywhere between $300 to $500 for this. It's definitely worth it. And it's something that's easily available at Schaff. And the nice thing about it is it is very non-invasive. Aside from 1, 2, 3 screw holes, that's all this takes. And that's a big selling feature. You're not having to remove parts of the piano. You're not having to graft whatever on to change the integrity of the instrument. You're just adding a couple screws. And then you have this system that's able to be on there. So,
okay, I'm going to ask you to look at it one more step, because I don't have a rinky-tink. I don't have the mandolin rail in this player piano. So I would have to take the felt off of the top half of it to put the rinky-dink sounds on it, the little metal pieces. Would that be doable with that? Because I can't see it that well enough from here. What do you think?
Janice, it would absolutely be doable.
Okay.
I'm gonna
Oh,
go ahead.
Smells yummy.
So you could do it two ways, Janice. You could either just install those metal pieces to the existing felt, or you could go ahead and make a bunch of little slices in this current felt so that you're making the fingers. Just do vertical slices so that you're making individual pieces, and then go ahead and put the tacks on those.
Yeah, okay, because you can buy the tacks, but I can't find a way to buy the rail itself, but this might be the solution.
This would do it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's a good question. All right, so I get to do something incredibly fun tonight and go to my local PTG chapter meeting. So I'm excited for that, to get to talk to technicians
Nice.
and then just kind of get to geek out to piano. So that's my next stop.
I'm still trying to get hold of Elliot here in Phoenix to find out what they have to offer in the.
His cell, and he didn't answer. I will say something to him.
Well, I only did it this morning, but he still hasn't texted
Oh,
me
okay.
yet.
I was like,
I have tried their links on their website and they don't work. They don't take me anywhere. So I texted him and said, your links don't work, and here I got this, and let's see if we can move on with it.
I just
He'll
texted.
He'll get back to you. He'll get back to you. They'll get back to you. She'll get back to you. All right, I got to clean up and go to my PTG meeting. I'll see you on Wednesday. Bring your questions, because we're doing massive Q&A. Tools, processes, business, whatever else have you. Everything question related. And in fact, my friend is probably going to be stopping by at the end of it. I can say it now because he's not here. He won't know that I said it, but he's a very, very, very successful business owner. He owns a company that sells sewing machines with 7 locations, umpteen $1 million company. Is a dear friend of mine. And he's kind of fascinated by answering questions online like this. So he may kind of be in the background listening to us. So that'll be kind of interesting. I may even ask him to come up and say, hey, what's your favorite thing about running a business? And he'd be like, hey, it's the coffee. I don't know. We'll see what he says.
I want to make my own hours. I tried to get a space in the mall to do a piano museum kind of thing. And they want me there 7 days a week for 61 hours during the week. That's when the mall is open. And I said, thanks, but otherwise I would have to hire a staff member. Then I have to do all of that, being the business owner and the taxes and all that stuff. So
Yes.
I said, thanks very much, but no.
You're going to find all of you all that are doing their own business that you're substituting one boss for thousands of bosses. Just FYI, if 25,000 students means that I have 25,000 bosses that I need to kind of make sure that I satisfy. Just FYI, know that going into it. You're gonna have a lot of bosses. Whether you decide to do what they want or not is up to you. I'll see you on Wednesday.
Later.
Bye.